Anna dog-eared from behind the desk at the library, adjusted her horn-rimmed glasses. We have quite a few books for preschool-aged children, introducing them to different shapes, all the way up to scholarly articles in various periodicals, discussing aspects of mathematics and the relationship to different configurations. But you have a particular preference for the square. Let me find you something on sacred geometry to begin with. Anna led Herb down these narrow aisles of books, piled high on either side, until she reached the desired location. I think we'll find what you're looking for here. Skimming through the magazines, she extracted 7 featuring sacred geometry. Begin with these and let me know when you're finished. And if you want more help, just come back, and I'll be happy to find what you need. He spotted an unoccupied desk and brought the magazines over with him. In sacred geometry, he read many differing ideas, among which was a square being a 4-sided figure represents confinement, whereas the circle was a symbol of emancipation. But the confinement of a square had hidden attributes. Once you came to accept your confinement, you could use this moment of self-realization to liberate yourself. It was the jumping-off spot. The square, while confining, also offered benefits. The 4 sides being equal represent balance, logic, cohesiveness, and structure. The 4 elements of fire, earth, water, and air are represented by the 4 sides. 4 compass points were to be found within the square. In Taoism, the square offered stability and a jumping-off place to higher consciousness. The number 4, being balanced in a form of a square, stood for practicality, hard work, logic, and karma. The number 4 even related to the 4 seasons. This is too much. I've got information overload. As he passed the library station, he said, Thanks again. You have given me much to think about. Anna dog-eared looked up. Glad to help. I get many different requests in here, but this is the first time anyone inquired about a square. Sounds intriguing. I would be happy to go over your findings with you if you like. Tell you the truth, I could use your expertise, but not here. This is your domain. You know of Old Joe's Cafe? Are you free on Saturday? How about meeting me there Saturday night at 7? That will give me a chance to gather up my thoughts. Name's Herbert Handrolled, but everybody just calls me Herb. Anna dog-eared, pleased to meet you. Is there any particular area you want me to research? I seem to recall a mathematical configuration called the magic square. Have you heard of it? No, but it will be interesting to learn what's magical about it. How many hidden signs can a square have anyway? So it's a deal-in. Sure. See you at 7. Herb Handrolled slipped into an empty booth with a hot coffee, a donut, and tired feet. Under his arm was a file folder filled with a variety of drawings of various shapes. Old Joe watched the lone figure fill the table with pages until it was covered. He watched until a young woman who came in a little time later joined him in the booth. Then began what looked like a rather intense discussion between the two. He waited a suitable length of time before coming over to offer refills. Everything okay? Top off your coffees? After they both had their coffees refilled, he took the opportunity to scan the pages on the table. They were filled with figures. Let's just concentrate on the square, offered Anna. I can tell you what I learned about the magic square. On the surface, it's almost like a card trick or something near to a Sudoku puzzle. But as you sink in a bit more deeper, other things rise to the surface. You take conservative numbers, either 9 numbers for a smaller square divided into 9 sections, or 16 numbers for a larger square divided up into 16 smaller squares. When you enter the numbers into the squares, all numbers add up to the same sum in each row, column, and across both diagonals. Perhaps the most interesting magic square is known as Lo Shu Square. It's a 3x3 square. Seems there was an ancient flood. The people in the area of Lo Shu River offered sacrifices to the god of the river. A magic turtle came out of the river with a Lo Shu pattern on its shell. It can be found recorded on the mystical tablet. It sits in the center with the Chinese zodiac surrounding it, and beyond them are 8 symbols representing the principle of Taoist reality. Wow! The square becomes the magic square, gets tied to the Chinese zodiac, and extends to the Taoist reality. That's interesting. It's got me thinking the square must be as old as time, or perhaps even older. Now it's hard to even find something completely square, or even the shape of a cube. This feels like old, overlooked technology now. Anna thought for a moment. I see what you're saying. This is not the edge of the square. That shape is rarely used now, just like the pyramids were the dominant configuration of their age. They also have gone extinct. All to our detriment. If these fundamental shapes bring with them a collection of conceptual ideas, and we're missing. Like the cultures that didn't know of the wheel. Look at what they missed. Precisely. I wonder what other gifts the square once brought with it, and are now missing. If the ancient Chinese were correct, you have to ask yourself, without the square, would reality itself exist? Old Joe overheard this conversation with amusement. Sometimes I think this is the only reason I stay open. The world is far more weird than you might think. Why, just a few days ago, Molly was in here spinning eggs on their ends. Now she's more interested in the oval shape. I thought that was the living end, and then you two show up in what looks like to be squares. Herb's ears picked up. Do you mean Molly's starstruck? Why, yes. I should have guessed you knew her. Anna, looking at Herb, asked, Do you know her? She just started where I work, at the old Billingsworth Hotel. I guess she was in here talking about ovals, and now here we are going on about squares. He smirked at old Joe. You must think we're a strange lot. Keeps life interesting. Like I say, it's one more reason to hang my shingle out each day. Hey, look, it's Molly herself coming in right now. Molly, we've been just talking about you. Herb, I believe you know Molly. Molly came over and greeted Herb and shook hands with Anna. Glancing at the different shapes on the papers, she asked, What's this then? Anna replied, Why don't you join us? I understand, well, forgive me if I don't, you're interested in ovals, and Herb is interested in squares. There has to be a story here. Molly smiled and bit her lower lip. I don't know if I should say this or not. I'm enrolled in a study involved in remote viewing. A short while ago it was ovals. It means turning up all the information you can on ovals, thinking and researching, and then mentally projecting. How did you make out? They said I did well and it looked promising. So I came in here and we spun a few hard-boiled eggs to see if they would rise up on the ends by themselves. Thing is, a few days ago they asked me to try and think of a square. And I come in here and find you two talking about squares of all things. So it would be interesting in learning what, if anything, you have discovered about the square shape. Herb leaned forward. Somehow this seemed ridiculous and relevant at the same time. If you don't have the ability to picture a square, you can never know reality. Yes, added Anna. Can you say you know anything of reality without first being introduced to the basic shapes of the square, triangle, or circle? Molly, with a furrowed brow, sifted through the drawings. "Where did you find these?" Herb glanced up. "These come from the Billingsworth. I've collected them over the years. It's a 3-stage process. First, the residents gather together. They produce similar images as these, and then, I swear it's true, they disappear." "Where do they go?" "They simply gather, make their drawings, and seem to vanish into thin air." "You mean the same way we have found ourselves gathered here tonight?" Nobody spoke. They looked towards each other with puzzled expressions. Old Joe, reappearing with his coffee pot, chuckled. "Relax. I haven't lost anyone yet."